Hello guys, welcome to the Trading Parrot. Investors are now on the look for clarity around the tariffs, and that seems to be currently showing some pre-market prices this Monday morning below the close of Friday. Let's have a look at how is the sentiment and let's do some TA on the major indices. So as you can see on Friday, we closed around 22.9. Today pre-market prices, it seems to be just slightly lower than Friday. And the same goes for S&P, which is just roughly 2 points below Friday close. The dollar index remains defending the lows of the momentum at 29, and in my opinion is starting to form some bullish patterns in here, despite the fact that the initial breakout has been so far a failure. Still not putting new lows, but it's taking a heck of a lot of time to put the next high if it's really gonna be a reversal to the upside. After all, it's finding support on long term in here, and it needs to defend that level of $96. Otherwise, we're gonna go to the very long-term support, which I cannot even see, but I know it's somewhere around here. The news are saying that the dollar drifts near multi-year lows as investors brace for Trump tariff deadline. Some other contradictory news are saying that the dollar trades steady amid global trade uncertainty. Everybody has their own read. When it comes to gold, after the breakdown, we are still in this channel to the downside, not necessarily breaking out or going anywhere, just sideways. On the news, they attribute this fall on the strengthening of the dollar, which is really confusing to read the news. As you can see, we got a dollar that is coming down, and when they talk about the gold 2 hours ago, they say that the dollar is strengthening. Nonsense. So far on the weekly time frame, things look promising for the NASDAQ and S&P. It is when I go to the monthly time frame when I get a little bit more concerned, particularly looking at these monthly cycles, that we are right there testing that resistance of RSI 66 on the monthly. If we were in any equivalent timing, that would be kind of a breakdown in here, which is the beginning of the bear market into 2022. Hopefully we see a breakout on the monthly beyond that point, which will be unprecedented, but the timing where we are is literally calling for some sort of pullback on the monthly time frame, which can take multi-month to define, and then being able to see it finally in here on the RSI. That could be something humble like just this, or something larger like all this distribution in this direction, but we have already had a pretty decent move down, so definitely my attention is right there for the S&P. Notice that NASDAQ has a little bit more of headroom, and actually the NASDAQ is in the territory of a breakout in the monthly, at least against a revenge rally. Russell is about to complete the revenge rally against 65, that probably is gonna be around a price of 2.3k. Google is slightly below the Friday close with 1 point less. Apple as well, Nvidia as well. Pretty much all the stocks are opening slightly below. That's also the case for Tesla, which we need to see if it's gonna hold support in here at $295. Well, Tesla is going through a lot of headaches at the moment since Elon is becoming so political. That's definitely something that investors do not want to see their cash placed in such a roller coaster, at least not myself. You tell me in the comments. Microsoft looking really good for the market open. You can see how many weeks in a row we have green candles in here. This specific move from RSI 29 into RSI 70, which is the definition of going from one extreme to the other on RSI, hasn't had a single pullback, with the exception of here right before re-entering the previous range. It's been just literally up only. And on the weekly time frame, which is even more crazy, even on the monthly RSI, it looks spectacular. Meta is finding right there the level of resistance on the weekly at RSI 65 and is currently opening 2 point something points below the Friday close. MicroStrategy is battling to be able to place a higher high in this range in here after bouncing off the median, but I have to admit the pattern looks pretty bullish. It kind of looks like an inverse head and shoulder, right, with a neckline right here, in which case we can place this target somewhere around here. Let's see if it can really break out, but if it does from that neckline, the technical target is 600.4. GameStop looks to be still in this channel trap. Let's place support like this. I'm gonna connect these points and see if this matches somehow an ascending channel. I'm gonna say that the pattern is not necessarily bullish in my opinion, but since you are in support in here, you might get away with another move into the top of the range, or maybe just into 30 $3. If this is really a bearish pattern, eventually it could do something like this and then break down. On the monthly, it's a little bit more clear, and also on the RSI monthly, we can see that it's just going sideways at the cost of bearish divergences on the monthly with lower highs and lower lows at least up until March. We'll see if this ends up putting a new low on the monthly as well. And I'm gonna speculate that Robinhood is not gonna be able to put a higher high in the RSI. This time is the 2-week. I think I've been looking at the 2-week and calling it monthly accidentally. Sorry about that. But on the 2-week in here, we could be placing an ugly bearish divergence if we start correcting from here. On the monthly, we have the highest RSI ever at 83. So on the monthly, there's still no slowdown. Yeah, I was looking at the 2-weekly accidentally, but the outcomes are pretty much the same of the rallies, revenge ones, and all of that. I think the takeaway from general markets today is that investors are on the look on clarity around the tariffs. Even though the effects might be delayed, which is a positive take, it seems every time that we talk about tariffs, it brings back to the table the uncertainty. And uncertainty around the highs is not something that causes any comfort in investors. And many of them tend to take some profits around there thanks to the uncertainty. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.